Wow, this time you've really given us a lot to dig into when it comes to success. I mean,
Hmm.
notes, podcast scripts, even some stuff in French.
Yeah.
What is it with the French?
Well, it looks like you're really interested in, finding success in every part of your life, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I'm ready to level up. That's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. And I think what's really interesting here is that you're not just looking for like the quick tips,
Right.
the surface level
I
advice.
want the secrets.
Yeah, you want the deeper stuff.
Give me the meat.
Yeah, and all these different sources you've given us really suggest that you're looking to understand like the psychology, the strategies,
Mm.
even maybe the cultural side of success.
Ooh, yeah. The French. That's got to be important.
That's right.
Well, and speaking of important things, I noticed one of your main sources here is this YouTube podcast script called The 5 Secrets to Success in Life.
Yeah.
That's pretty classic stuff, right?
Yeah, it's a classic self-improvement blueprint for sure.
But I think there's always something to be gained from revisiting those familiar frameworks.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like putting on a new pair of glasses.
Mhm.
You might notice things you didn't before, or, maybe your perspective's changed and now you have this whole new understanding.
Totally.
Mm.
So let's not spoil all 5 secrets for the listeners just yet,
Right.
but it's safe to say that they cover a pretty wide range of topics, goal setting to
Yeah.
like the people you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to unpack here. But let's start with some of the things that really jumped out at us from your notes and that script.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Great. Now, I was really interested in these first 2 secrets: setting clear goals and developing a growth mindset.
Yeah.
It seems like those 2 things are really closely linked.
They really are.
Yeah.
I actually think of it as two sides of the same coin. One is the roadmap, the other is what helps you deal with the roadblocks.
Well, that's a good analogy. Yeah. And the podcast script actually had this really interesting statistic that I wrote down. People who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them.
Yeah. 42%, that's a huge difference.
It is.
And it really makes you think about, the power of actually putting pen to paper.
Yeah.
It's not just about like magic ink or anything. It's
Right.
about clarity and commitment. When you write something down, you're forced to get specific. Like, what exactly do you want to achieve? When do you want to achieve it by? And how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And then that specificity, it transforms the goal into something real, something actionable.
Right.
It's not just a vague desire anymore. It's a plan.
It's a contract with yourself.
It is.
And I guess that's where the growth mindset comes in, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not always going to be easy, is it?
Definitely not. You're going to hit bumps in the road.
Oh, yeah. Detours,
Roadblocks. Yeah, exactly.
roadblocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when that growth mindset becomes so important.
It is. And the growth mindset really is about reframing those setbacks. It's not about failure, it's about feedback.
Ooh.
Every challenge, every obstacle, it's an opportunity to learn and to adapt.
Yeah.
And in the end, that's just going to make you even stronger and help you progress even faster.
So instead of getting discouraged and just giving up,
Right.
you're using those experiences to like fine-tune your approach, right?
Yeah.
It's like those obstacles, they become
Stepping stones.
stepping stones, yes.
Yes.
Now that reminds me of another quote, which I think is pretty relevant here. Have you heard this one? You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
That one always makes me stop and think, who am I hanging out with?
Yeah, me too.
Because that's the 4th secret.
Yeah, the power of your circle, your network. I mean, it's such a powerful concept because it really highlights how much our environment can influence us.
Yeah.
We absorb the energy of the people around us, their mindsets, their habits.
It's like it's contagious, right?
It is. It's
Mhm.
totally contagious. So if you're surrounded by people who are negative or just, complacent,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be that much harder for you to stay motivated and to reach your goals.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It does.
So it's not just about having, cheerleaders on the sidelines.
Right.
It's about being intentional about who you let into that inner circle, right?
Absolutely. You got to think of it like you're building a team for your success.
Oh, I like that.
And that team is going to look different for everyone.
Right.
But it's so important to have those people who energize you,
Yeah.
who challenge you to think differently, to grow,
Mm-hmm.
who celebrate your wins and support you through the tough times. Those are the people who are really going to help you, unlock your potential.
That's your A team.
That's your A team.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a great place to maybe take a pause.
Okay.
And we'll come back and dig into the fifth secret.
Sounds good.
And we'll figure out what's going on with the French.
You're right.
So stay tuned.
It really is like having that perfect team, you know,
Yeah.
that support system that can make all the difference when you're trying to reach your goals.
Totally. And speaking of goals,
Mm.
we've talked about 4 of the secrets so far from that YouTube script.
Yeah.
We've got setting clear goals, developing that growth mindset, taking consistent action,
Right.
and the power of your circle,
Mm-hmm.
which really feels like, we're building this solid foundation for success.
Oh, absolutely. A strong foundation. And that leads us right into the fifth secret, which is staying true to your purpose.
Right.
And this is where we really start to dig into the why behind your success.
The why. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about the what and how, but now it's time to figure out the why. And I love how the podcast script phrased this. It asked this question: if you had all the money and time in the world, what would you spend your life doing?
Such a good question, right? It really makes you think.
It does.
It cuts right through all those daily obligations and societal expectations.
It's asking, what would you do if you weren't afraid of anything?
Yeah.
If you had no limitations, what would you do? What would really light you up?
Yeah, and that's what purpose is all about. It's your internal compass.
Mm-hmm.
It guides your choices.
Gives your actions meaning.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
ultimately, it's the key to defining what success really means to you.
Okay, so it's not just about checking things off a list.
Yeah.
It's about doing things that really resonate with you, with your values.
Yeah. When you're living in alignment with your purpose, everything just feels more fulfilling, even the challenges, because you know why you're doing it.
Right. You have that bigger picture in mind.
Exactly. And it's interesting. All 5 of these secrets, they're all interconnected.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. You can't really have one without the others, can you?
You can't. They really do build upon each other. So you've got those clear goals giving you direction, and
Yeah.
then that growth mindset helping you deal with the inevitable obstacles,
Mm-hmm.
and then consistent action. It keeps you moving forward even when it gets tough.
Yeah.
And then you've got your circle, those people who are supporting you, cheering you on,
Mm-hmm.
and then purpose that fuels it all,
It's like a recipe for success. You need all the ingredients.
You do. You need all the ingredients.
Now, speaking of different ingredients, we haven't really talked about those French snippets you gave us.
Oh yeah, the French.
Yeah, what's the deal with those?
Well, it's interesting because they're just these, fragments, little pieces of something else.
It's like Nouvelle Note. Hello, everybody. Tips for starting learning English from scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's in French.
It is. And, it almost feels like we're getting a glimpse into someone else's journey,
Right.
their own attempts to unlock their potential, to learn, to grow.
Makes you wonder, what were they trying to achieve? What was their why?
It really does. And it makes
Yeah.
you think about how success, it can look so different to different people.
Mm-hmm.
What might be success to me might not be success to you.
Right. And even for the same person, I imagine their definition of success could change over time, as they grow and evolve.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? What I find so fascinating about these French snippets
What's that?
is that they remind us that this desire for self-improvement, for achieving something meaningful, it's a universal thing. It
Yeah.
transcends language.
I mean, transcends culture.
It
It's
does.
something that connects us all.
It does. It's part of the human experience.
It really is. And it ties into what we've been talking about,
Yeah.
It's not just about achieving a specific outcome.
Right. It's about that process of growth, of expanding your horizons, of
Yeah.
becoming the best version of yourself.
Exactly. And that journey, it really is unique for everyone.
It is. So we've got these 5 secrets, which, they provide a fantastic framework, but ultimately it's up to each person to define what success means to them.
Mm-hmm.
And to chart their own course.
Yeah.
It's about finding what resonates with you and letting that be your guide.
And it's not always, a straight line.
Oh, no, definitely not.
There are going to be twists and turns.
Yeah, maybe even some backtracking.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You might have to go back and try something different. But the key is to just keep learning, keep growing,
Yeah,
and adjusting your course along the way.
it's a journey, not a destination, right?
Exactly. And that brings me back to all this great source material you've provided.
Right.
We've talked a lot about the ideas, the concepts,
Hmm.
but, you've given us some really practical stuff, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Especially that podcast script. You know?
Oh, yeah, it's full of, exercises and prompts and even challenges. Yeah, it's one thing to understand this stuff, but it's a whole other thing to actually put it into practice.
Totally. Totally. I mean, that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah, it's like having all the tools, but if you don't use them,
Exactly. They're just sitting there.
yeah, they're no good. So I guess the takeaway here is, as you go back and look at all this stuff, really engage with it.
Yeah, don't just passively read or listen.
Right. Take notes, highlight the key points, and think about how you can apply this to your own life.
Exactly. And think about your own goals. What are your challenges?
Your definition of success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then use all these insights, these resources you've got.
Build that dream life.
That's it. Build the life you want. This has been this has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
We've explored so much.
So many good nuggets.
From setting those clear goals to finding your purpose.
Yeah, it's all connected. But before we wrap this up,
Yeah.
there's one last thought I want to leave you with.
Okay.
We've talked about the what, we've talked about the how,
Mm-hmm.
but what about the why?
The what?
What really drives you? What kind of impact do you want to make?
Oh, that's a powerful question.
It is.
And it's one that, we each need to find our own answer to.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do connect with that why, your motivation, it becomes unstoppable.
Yeah.
And that's when success, it becomes more than just achievement.
Right.
It becomes something truly meaningful.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.